I'm a graduate of the University of Delaware and the Fighting Blue Hens. And in 1992, Delaware made its first ever NCAA tournament. And it was a huge deal. Small school, North American Conference. And I wrote for the student newspaper, okay? And I was sitting courtside when they beat Drexel to make the NCAA tournament. And the fans are chanting, "We want Duke, we want Duke." And Delaware was really good. They were 24-3 at that point, right? They were one of the best teams in the country, but we want Duke, we want Duke. And Delaware gets Cincinnati in the first round, okay? It's a true story. And I get to fly out to Dayton, Ohio, and they're playing Cincinnati in the first round. And this is when Cincinnati was just kind of on the come up again. Like it was Bob Huggins as a young coach, Van Exel, Corey Blount was on the team. And at Delaware, I think we all thought, oh, Delaware might have a shot in this game. Like Delaware, they had a 6'11 center, they had a 6'9 power forward, they were 24-3, they were really good. And I'm sitting courtside at this game, okay? And they jump off, and Delaware's winning 6-2. And I'm like, holy shit, Delaware's going to beat Cincinnati. This is amazing. We're staying, right? And then Bob Huggins puts on the full court press. And Nick Van Exel was a blur. And Delaware ended up losing by 39 or 41. Like it was a joke. It was preposterous. So
don't pump Shay's head up.
It was the best. But it was such a great experience. So when I reached to Nick Van Exel, I said, one of the first things I told him is, hey, I was the sports editor of the University of Delaware student newspaper in 1991-92. I was there at the Cincinnati game. He just started laughing. He's like, that wasn't much of a game. I'm like, I know, man. And he was a delight, man. I love that guy. So when he was with the Lakers, he and Del Harris hated each other. Del Harris was a head coach. Because Van Exel was like a badass, and he would like cut your throat back. Like he was a killer on the court. And Del Harris was like just a very traditional Christian, long-winded, Indiana man. And he would go on and on and on and just talk for hours. And Nick Van Exel just wanted to play basketball. And it was like this. They just hated each other. And when Kobe came along, Van Exel liked Kobe, but he also, I think, felt somewhat threatened, as you would, by this guy coming along, and he's going to take your minutes, and he's really good, and he's really cocky, and he's not deferential at all. Also, Nick Van Exel's guy was Eddie Jones, and Eddie Jones was really the direct negative recipient of Kobe Bryant's emergence. So I think more than anything, Nick Van Exel really loved Kobe and respected Kobe, but I think at the time he probably could have done without Kobe.
Fair. Yeah, I forgot. So Magic Johnson, right? He comes back in 95, 96, an abbreviated return. And then he retires again. Of course, the next season, Shaq and Kobe come in. Could you just speak something about, I always know that Magic from first, so he coaches in 90, I think it was 94 and 95. He comes back and plays in 96, and then he retires again. And just I know Van Exel was driving him crazy. And just how do you think it would have, because I know that the issue with Magic is that the way that he played and the way that he saw the game, when he was coaching, he couldn't understand, and sometimes that happens with that's why a lot of times the best players don't make the best coaches, because they don't understand how lesser talented players can't see and do the same things that they can do. And so I just wanted to know, do you have the insight that you could provide into Magic and his comeback, and why exactly it was so frustrating for him, and what do you think it would have been like if he had continued to play 1 year later and into the Shaq and Kobe era?
No, it would have been terrible. His comeback was terrible. I vividly remember him coming back because in his first game they played Golden State, and he did this move, like this okie dokie move on Latrell Sprewell. It's one of the great singular. It's worth looking up if you do it on YouTube later, like Magic.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's great. Where Latrell literally turns his head and Magic.
Yeah, he has Latrell's head on the swivel.
Yeah. So the problem is, the biggest problem was like Magic was just an old school. Magic was a lot more Bird than he was Kobe. Like sometimes people try dividing Magic and Bird, and they basically were the same guy. In fact, they were really the same guy. They're the same level of athleticism, the same background, the same everything. They were the same guy, slightly different skills, but the same basic guy. And Bird was the same way. Bird did not have patience for the modern player. Magic did not have patience for the modern player. He comes back and he's surrounded by these guys, and he's just like, you guys are a bunch of assholes. Your egos are all about the wrong thing, you know? But the truth of the matter is Magic had an ego too, and he wanted to be point guard, and they were playing him at power forward. And he just was like, his generation had passed. He was not willing to adjust to a newer model. And I think if he had played with Shaq and Kobe, he would have lost his mind and probably all of his hair. He would have been like, he wouldn't have had patience to be playing side by side with the 18-year-old Kobe Bryant. It would have been ridiculous. So it would have been a disaster.